Good morning, everybody, on this beautiful day in the capital city. You know, rain, sleet, snow does not stop the city of Columbia and our beautiful capital city in our region here in Richland County. We're very excited to be here today for a great announcement about the Assembly Street Rail Separation Project. I find it very fitting that in 1905 there was a book written about improvement in Columbia, South Carolina. Talked about a Central Park, which now we have, which was Sydney Park, which is now Finley Park. Talks about realigning rails. So 120 years later, we are talking about a monumental project, but it goes back even further, and we're here to have an announcement that the Congressman Clyburn will share with us here shortly about this project. But Congressman Clyburn started working on this back, I think, in the early 90s, started securing money to help try to further this along and get this discussion going. And a lot of people have worked out of it over the years, but the last 3 years we put a full effort into this, and we have a lot of partners. First of all, we want to thank Congressman Clyburn. Every time we went to Washington, every application we did there at his office and himself were the first ones to get the letters in, make the phone calls. He partnered with Senator Graham, called our Secretary Buttigieg to say, hey, this is important to our community, and you did it. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Because this project was so important, it was one of the first regional projects that we had here that really involved everybody. And I want to take a few minutes to thank a lot of folks, because both our Richland County delegation, our Lexington delegation, the University of South Carolina, all of our regional mayors from Eastover to Lexington to Irmo to Chapin to Blythewood, Arcadia Lakes, Forest Acres, all came in and wrote support letters. We had the support letters from the entire congressional delegation all across the footprint of South Carolina. There were so many letters that when we had the opportunity to be at the White House with Mitch Landau, who was the special assistant for the infrastructure bill to the president in the mega grant, he goes, I don't know that I've ever seen an application that had so much support. But what was great is it didn't stop there. He spent an hour with us and getting his team on the phone to say, is these applications, because this is right after we got turned down for the first one, because we've applied for the mega, the CRISI, the infra, the rail elimination. We've tried it all. We've met with DOT both here and in Washington multiple times, but he got the staff, how do we improve this application? How do we bring something that's monumental change to our community? And the outpouring of support that we received in Washington, and I know it's because of our representative that we got that, it was absolutely incredible. So I want to thank Mitch, Evan Welsel, who was at the White House at the time, who's now at DOT, making sure that we always had those meetings. Former Mayor Steve Benjamin, who made sure that we got those appointments and that we had those conversations. Obviously, I want to thank the president at the university, Ed Walton at the university, and the staff, Mike Caskey, Senator Setzler, who also was right there with us, Senator Harpootlian, all of obviously our delegations, Bruce Bannister and Merle Smith, and all the folks, Representative Rutherford, and all who helped us at the Ways and Means to get some of the funding from the state to have the matching. But we really have to turn around and thank our staff, Missy Gentry, Clint Shealy, Dana Higgins, our city manager, all of the staff here that work together, Peyton Lang and Lynette, all who spent a ton of time making sure that these applications were here, because that was the important piece. Because a lot of people forget that this is all grant. All these grants, it's not formula-based, it's grant-based. We had to apply, we had to work, and all those different pieces over the last 3 years came together. So we're very, very excited that we're here today in partnership with SCDOT, our partners in the county, the support that we're getting, the future partnership with our railroads to make this a game changer for Columbia. It opens up a gateway. It opens up a whole realm of our downtown city. It makes us an urban center, and we're so excited about that. Thank you all for your continued support. Thank you all for your continued work on this project. This is going to be a monumental project, folks. Major project downtown in a business district with a university, multiple railroads. But what it will do will add to everything that else is happening. If it's William Street, it's Bull Street, it's our Riverfront Coalition, all coming together to make Columbia what we believe is the #1 city in South Carolina, especially the best place in South Carolina to live. As we continue to move forward, thanking everybody. When we got the word about this, I think you might have seen the most joy I've ever seen out of city council staff and folks, and the phone calls that we have gotten from across the community. Everybody is excited. This may be the first big regional project that we've all come together with, and I can't wait to celebrate it even more. I'm excited to have Justin Powell, our Chief Operating Officer over at DOT, to join us now to say a few words, and then we'll have our Congressman James E. Clyburn next.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm Justin Powell. I'm privileged and humbled to serve as the Secretary of Transportation for South Carolina. I just want to say how grateful we are for the continued leadership we've seen from Representative Clyburn, our senators, Tim Scott and Lindsey Graham, for their continued support in making generational investments in South Carolina's infrastructure. To put it in context, in the past 6 months, we've had in the announcements for $175 million to rebuild the Lake Marion bridges on I-95, the Long Point Road interchange in Mount Pleasant to improve operations on Report and traffic in Mount Pleasant, and then today's announcement on Assembly Street. It's a big deal. Thanks to the investments from our General Assembly and our Congress, we are on a roll in building South Carolina. Right now, we have over $6 billion worth of road work happening in South Carolina, up from $1 billion 10 years ago, and we're on our way to achieving $7 billion under contract within the next year. We have been happy to partner with the City of Columbia on the Assembly Street project. We're working with them right now on getting that project through the permitting process. We expect that'll take through the summer, and then we'll be prepared to work with them as this project moves forward and moving towards the construction phase. This will be a challenging project to construct, but as the Mayor said, it's been on the list for over 120 years. But I think at the end of the day, it will be well worth it for Columbia and for South Carolina. So happy to be here and celebrate these good news. And so it's my privilege to introduce the Dean of South Carolina's congressional delegation, Representative James E. Clyburn.
Thank you very much. Being dean of the delegation means only one thing. You're the oldest guy. And this past July, I was pleased to celebrate the 45th anniversary of my 39th birthday. And so I'm pleased to be anywhere these days, and most especially I'm pleased to be here today on this occasion. I can't go as far back on this project, irrespective of my age, as 1905. But thank you so much for bringing that up, because when I got elected in 1992, one of the issues involved in that 92 campaign happened to be this railroad project. And of course, I addressed that issue right after my election. One of the first earmarks. I know that's a dirty word to a lot of people, but these are people who just don't understand that when you're running for office and you're talking to your constituents or constituents to be, and they tell you little things about being late for the kickoff because a train has interfered with their route to Williams-Brice Stadium. When they tell you about getting to the office late because of malfunction junction. When they talk about these little things that affect their everyday lives, they really want something done about them. And 9 times out of 10, no bureaucrat in Washington has ever been privy to those discussions. So they have no appreciation for these kinds of issues like this project. So one of the first earmarks I ever got approved was for this project. Now, I was born and raised over in Sumter, and all of my life, I've been hearing about Manning Avenue, trying to get from downtown Sumter out to where now we have the Continental Tire plant. We're fixing that now. And the money for that was a Jim Clyburn earmark that was approved for something else, and we transferred it to Sumter to fix that project. I heard a whole lot about North Main Street in Sumter and Morris College and what we needed to do to make that a more attractive and more convenient place to visit. Another earmark. And it all got done. Now, these things cannot fully fund these projects, but they can get them started, and they can get people involved into talking about them. And as you just heard, we have just approved $175 million federal dollars to go with the $175 million state dollars so that we can now make that I-95 bridge over Lake Marion much more secure and much more convenient for travelers, not just for people who are trying to get from Miami to New York. It's going to be good for them too. But what the Highway Department, Justin, what they have done, they have designed that bridge in such a way that, as many of you heard, the entire town of Somerton lost their water system. No water in the entire town. And so when we started talking about this bridge, we decided out of our discussions, let's go back and redesign this bridge. It's going to cost us another, $30 million to redesign this bridge so that we can put water pipes on this new bridge, so we can get water from the Lake Marion Regional Water Agency over into Clarendon County so we can fund the water system for the town of Somerton, and we've done that. I don't know how many of you have ever gotten lost, as I did some 40 years ago, trying to get through Malfunction Junction at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm serious about this. Years ago, I got turned around, and when I looked around, I was pretty near Newberry, trying to get home through Malfunction Junction. You go through that today. I came through there a couple of nights ago. It was just a beautiful ride because the federal government working with the State Department, we're fixing all of that. So I'm pleased to be here today. No one has mentioned the number yet. I didn't hear it. If you did mention it, ain't nothing wrong with mentioning it. $204 million. That's a pretty good hunk of change. And what is going to happen when all of this is done is we will have cured that problem that has been there forever. Getting trains to move as they should and not interrupting the flow of traffic, automobiles across and down Assembly Street. That's what this project is all about. And this morning, as I was about to walk out of the office, someone handed me another little thing here. Berkeley, Charleston, Dorchester, Council of Government, $6.6 million to go into the disadvantaged communities in those projects. So those communities can get 124 ports for electric vehicles. Getting what we take for granted in Columbia and Charleston out into those little communities in rural South Carolina so that people in those farming communities will have these electric ports right down the road from where they live rather than praying that they can get to another city or town to charge their vehicles. And what this is all about, it seems to me, is for us to understand what this means for our children. I talk to my daughter, Angela, who's here all the time, about the interrelationship that exists between these kinds of projects and the education of our children. Bringing new sources of revenue so that we can fund our schools, so that we can fund the roads and the bridges to make our travel for our students safer to get from home to school and back home. That's what these kinds of projects are all about. Now, my staff gave me all kinds of stuff that I should say today. And the only thing I said that's on this sheet of paper is 204 million. Well, let me just say, as I close these comments, South Carolina is one of, and I'm not too sure, we may not be at the top of this, but we may be in the top 4 of the fastest growing states in the country, which means that we need infrastructure. Our infrastructure needs are not getting less, they're getting more. And if people are coming in, it's a good thing to count these people. But we got to remember, they will test our infrastructure in a way that few people seem willing to plan. Now, we mentioned the infrastructure project down near, I call it, these ports, trying to get to the ports. I'll tell this old story because I think it's one of the interesting. When I finished South Carolina State, about 80% of my class left the state of South Carolina. My wife and I, my late wife now, and I sat down one night a long time ago and went through our yearbook and just marked where every one of our classmates ended up. And according to our figure, 82% of them left South Carolina. The two of us were in the 18% that stayed in the state. They went off and got educated, and they made their contributions in other states and communities. Many of them became pretty wealthy. And I was glad of that, because when I started running for office, they heard from me. But we have a reverse of that taking place today. People are moving into this state. And we have got to prepare for these people. We want them to come because we want to benefit from them. We want the industry to come. Well, if we're going to have the stock plant, you got to have water. Vavo is where it is today because we got the Lake Marion Regional Water Agency in place some 20 years ago to provide the water. We have got to work together to make sure that we put in the infrastructure that is needed in order to accommodate the growth that's taking place in South Carolina. That is going to be the most important thing for us in the near term, preparing for this growth. Because I predict that we're going to pick up another congressperson after the next decennium. And the question is, have we done what is necessary to prepare for that growth? If we don't do it, we'll have headlines coming out of South Carolina, much like the headlines we see coming out of California today. Because things are changing. Whether people like it or not, the climate is changing. It's going to affect the weather. I've never been as cold as I was night before last, trying to get home from Washington. And I left Washington because it was cold, coming here looking for relief, and you all greeted me with snow this morning. We've got to get prepared for all of this, and we cannot do it unless we work cohesively, as I say. So, Mr. Mayor, I want to thank you for your stewardship of the city. Madam City Manager, thank you for your friendship, for keeping me posted on what you're doing. I don't know how many anniversaries I will have of my 39th birthday going forward, but I'm hoping to have a whole lot of them, though they may not be in office. But whatever time I have left in this office, I want to make sure that we do what is necessary to prepare for the growth that's taking place, not just for those who will come, but for those who are our children and our grandchildren. Have a good place for them so that they will not find it necessary, as my classmates did, to leave our state to find fortune, but that we will do what is necessary for them to find it right here at home. Thank you, and Godspeed.
Just want to take a moment to thank you again, Congressman Clyburn. Thank Senator Graham in his absence. We wouldn't be here today without y'all's support and joint support, but you've always been an advocate for the city of Columbia, for your state, and you're right. This is about the future. This is about our grandkids and moving forward. So we appreciate you constantly putting us first. I want to thank everybody for being here. If the press has questions, I know Mr. Secretary, I called him CEO earlier. I don't know what I was thinking, but I think he'll take the title. Or with Congressman Clyburn, our city manager, and our other staff is here if there are any questions, or if you want any breakouts, please let us know. Thank you for being here.